It began with a lie so quiet that no one heard it. Long before the cameras, the Senate hearings, and the national anger, a woman stepped into the heart of a small Philippine town and introduced herself as Alice Guo, a farmer's daughter, homeschooled, simple, humble, and uninterested in the noise of politics. She spoke softly, walked gently, and carried herself with the fragile confidence of someone unused to the spotlight. The people of Bamban believed her. They believed her because she did not look dangerous. They believed her because danger rarely announces itself with a smile. What they didn't know was that behind the soft voice was a carefully constructed identity, and behind the constructed identity was a criminal operation large enough to swallow a town whole. Her rise was not dramatic. It was subtle, quiet, almost invisible. She did not dominate rallies or stir crowds with fiery speeches. Instead, she appeared like a shadow slipping into a room, polite, respectful, and almost unnaturally composed. She presented herself as a businesswoman who wanted to bring digital progress to Bamban. No childhood classmates came forward. No teachers remembered her. No neighbors recalled seeing her as a child. Yet no one questioned it. In politics, unfamiliarity often looks like freshness. And in a town hungry for change, she became that change. Money fueled her campaign in ways few candidates in small towns could compete with. Her posters were polished, her volunteers well-equipped, and her events strangely well-funded. Rumors circulated about her sudden wealth, but whispers rarely defeat money. She won the mayoral seat easily, sliding into power on a platform of modernization. Few noticed the timing, how her victory aligned perfectly with the sudden arrival of foreign investors who seemed to know exactly who she was. Bamban had elected a stranger, and the stranger was about to transform the town into something unrecognizable. The transformation began with land. Vast tracts purchased quietly under multiple corporate names. Soon after, construction machines stormed the outskirts of Bamban. Massive compounds rose with unnatural speed. Unlike ordinary commercial developments, these structures were fortified with thick gates, razor wires, floodlights, and security cameras pointed inwards and outwards. The mayor called it a technology park. Investors called it a digital hub. But the people who entered the compound soon realized it was something far darker. Inside those walls existed a criminal ecosystem engineered to extract both money and humanity from its victims. Migrant workers, lured by job offers that promised stable pay, were flown in from South Asia, East Asia, and parts of Africa. Upon arrival, their passports were confiscated. Their phones were seized. What awaited them were rows of cramped metal dormitories stacked like livestock pens. Guards monitored their every movement. Surveillance cameras were positioned over beds, hallways, and workrooms. There was no privacy, no freedom, and no way out. Their job was not tech work. It was cyber fraud. They were forced to operate scam centers that targeted victims worldwide. Romance scams, investment traps, cryptocurrency fraud, and extortion schemes. They worked for endless hours under the threat of physical punishment. Those who resisted were beaten. Those who cried for help were locked in dark rooms designed for punishment. Some suffered electric shocks. Some were starved for days. Some watched others collapse from exhaustion and never get back up. Each worker was given a quota. Failure meant violence. Attempting escape meant disappearing. The compound looked like a high-tech fortress, but behind its screens and servers, it functioned as a human trafficking factory. Money moved rapidly. Victims abroad lost life savings. Victims inside lost their freedom and dignity. And all of it happened under the jurisdiction of a mayor who signed every permit, approved every development, and defended every operation with uncanny calmness. As stories leaked out, authorities launched surveillance. Victims managed to escape and report their experiences. International agencies flagged the compound. And finally, the raid came. When investigators kicked down the doors, they did not find innovation, they found horror. Rows of trafficked workers huddled in fear. Torture rooms. Shackles. Confiscated passports dumped in plastic crates. Ledgers showing profits flowing to entities linked directly and indirectly to the mayor's network. It was not just a criminal site. It was an entire industry of exploitation built in the heart of a Philippine town. The nation erupted. How had a woman with no verifiable childhood risen to political office? How did she build these connections? Where did her money come from? She remained calm as she always had. Even as evidence piled up, she answered everything with soft denial. She did not know. She did not recall. She could not remember. She insisted she was innocent, a victim of circumstance, unaware of the atrocities happening behind the walls of the very compound she approved. Pressure intensified. The Senate launched a formal inquiry. What unfolded before the cameras was one of the most surreal testimonies in modern Philippine political history. She could not name her mother. She could not explain inconsistent birth dates. She could not clarify how she acquired land linked to foreign nationals. Investigators discovered ties to individuals flagged for organized crime. Immigration documents contradicted each other. Fingerprints matched records abroad. It became increasingly clear that Alice Guo was a constructed persona, and the woman behind it was Guo Hua Ping, a Chinese national whose presence in Philippine politics was both illegal and strategic. As scrutiny tightened, she vanished for a time. Rumors spread about her fleeing the province. Surveillance captured her moving between safehouses with the help of individuals connected to the criminal network. She attempted to evade law enforcement, changing vehicles, changing locations, and relying on contacts who had everything to lose if she fell. But a person can only run for so long in a country mobilized against them. After days of tracking, she was intercepted, arrested, and taken into custody. The woman who once sat in the mayor's office, silent and untouchable, was now behind bars. The trial became a national focal point. Victims testified. Investigators presented surveillance footage, financial records, and testimonies from rescued workers. The compound's security blueprints connected her directly to operational decisions. Corporate documents tied her to ownership structures disguised through layers of shell companies. The court dismantled the identity she had worn for years, exposing the fabrication piece by piece until nothing remained but the truth. Her defense was fragile. She continued to deny involvement. She claimed ignorance, coincidence, and misinterpretation. But ignorance collapses when confronted with repeated signatures, repeated approvals, repeated connections to criminal actors. The court saw through every excuse. And when the verdict finally arrived, it was decisive and irreversible. She was found guilty of qualified human trafficking. The courtroom fell silent as the judge read the sentence, a sentence reserved for the gravest abuses of human life and dignity. The evidence was overwhelming, the suffering undeniable. The compound became state property. The victims received recognition and support. The town that once trusted her watched as the justice system delivered its final blow. The woman once known as Alice Guo, who entered politics through silence and deception, who presided over one of the most disturbing trafficking operations uncovered in recent years, was sentenced to life imprisonment. No more evasions. No more disappearing. No more reinventing herself behind another identity. She now sits in a cell where the cameras face inward, where the walls are not hers to control, where the silence is no longer a weapon but a confinement. The rise, the deceit, the crimes, the flight, and the trial all led to a single ending. A life spent behind bars, stripped of the identity she once used to fool an entire town. Her story is not a mystery anymore. It is a lesson written in the language of exploitation and justice. A reminder that some lies grow so large they eventually collapse under their own weight. And when they do, the fall is final. Life imprisonment,